All right. Chapter 55, Double Nickels, Part 3. And I'm on a different tablet. The other one's about full. Yeehaw. Alright, so wild dog attack. Before Mark could say anything to Gunny about that, the old man was on the radio telling all of the posts that cooking was now a big no-no. A few minutes later, the sheriff showed up to check on David. His office had monitored the transmissions, had informed him of what had happened. Mark filled him in on David's condition and gave him the play-by-play of what had transpired. Kurt informed them that while there had been a few reports of dogs harassing livestock, nothing like this had ever happened. He felt bad that this had happened on an operation for him, and he apologized to Mark and Jess. Mark told him it wasn't his fault and the operation was for all of them. Jess reached out and squeezed the lawman's arm with a weak smile. Kurt sat down in an empty chair, and it was quiet in the command post until Doc Vasquez came out. He told Mark, Jess, Sam, and the others that it had gone as well as could be expected. Lisa was bandaging the youth up, and he could go home and sleep in his own bed in just a short while. They were giving him some strong antibiotics to fight against possible infection, and they wanted to make sure he didn't have a reaction to them. He also told them David might need some skin grafts on his arm, but they'd have to take him to someone who had experience with that. Kurt told them he would bring Dr. Ken out to look at the boy and then left. Doc Vasquez also mentioned that there were a few bites on David's face that would probably leave some scars, but nothing disfiguring. He said they would be tough guy scars and the girls would probably like them. 30 minutes later, David was resting comfortably in his own room with Jess sitting at the foot of his bed watching every breath. After a few minutes of staying with him, everyone except Jess left. Mark led Sam, Timmy, and Tommy into the kitchen to fix a late lunch. They warmed up some leftover soup and sat down at the table. No one spoke for a while. Finally, Timmy started crying. "Uncle Mark, is David going to heaven with my mommy and daddy?" he sobbed. Mark was shocked by the question, not because Timmy had asked it, but because he'd been too oblivious to see it coming. He kicked himself for not expecting the young boys to understand. He kicked himself for not expecting the young boys to be overwhelmed with anxiety. They'd lost their parents just a short time ago, and now part of their new family was ailing. How would they not expect the worst? "No, Timmy, David's not going to heaven, not for a long time," Mark reassured both of the boys. He reached out and put his arm around the young boy's shoulders. "But the dogs hurt him pretty bad, and he's going to need you two to help him. Can you both do that?" Timmy sniffed and nodded his head. Tommy's head also went up and down. "Good. Now let's eat some soup, and then we'll go outside and play catch for a while." That seemed to cheer the two boys up considerably, and they dug into their soup bowls with a vigor. Sam agreed to clean up, and Mark took the boys out in the front yard to toss the baseball. Before long, Kurt drove back up with Dr. Ken. Mark took him in to see David, while Kurt volunteered to take over coaching the boys. Mark introduced the doctor to his wife, and then the MD unwrapped the arm to look at it. Word had spread quickly that Dr. Ken had come, and Lisa and Doc Vasquez, as soon as they heard, were at the Turner house. After a brief inspection of the injuries, Dr. Ken rewrapped them and told Jess her boy was going to be fine. "What about skin grafts? Will he need them?" she asked. "Maybe," he replied. "We'll see how it heals. And if we need to get a plastic surgeon to work on it, I know a good one. Don't you worry, he'll be up and around in no time." When the doctor left the room, he asked who had patched up the arm. Doc Vasquez and Lisa introduced themselves to the county's top medical official and told him they had done the work. He told them that they had done a masterful job. "In fact," he added, "most trauma surgeons I know couldn't have done any better. Would the two of you be willing to come help us out at the hospital from time to time?" Both members of the Silver Hills medical team blushed at the compliment and agreed to help out however they could. Dr. Ken asked Mark to bring David to see him in 5 days, and he invited Doc and Lisa to tag along. They agreed. The doctor apologized that he had to run, and Kurt drove him back to the hospital. That night, Mark's nightmares came back to haunt him. Only this time, in addition to his other fears, there was a new threat confronting all that he cared for. Which one is it? This one.